perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.
Head on over to Cold Stone on this hot day for that classic soda shop feel, but make it with ice cream. Try Cold Stone Guam's new limited time creation and float today. That's the root beer revival creation with root beer ice cream, chocolate chips, caramel, and whipped topping, or go with the float with root beer ice cream, root beer, whipped topping, and a maraschino cherry. Only here for a limited time, so visit them at their mall and GPO locations today. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
Buy fuel, get Wendy's. Drive to your nearest 76 Circle K and get free Wendy's. Yes, free. Fuel up with $30 and score your choice of a 6-piece crispy chicken nuggets or a juicy junior cheeseburger deluxe. Fresh, hot, and packed with flavor. But hurry, quantities are limited and this delicious deal won't last long. So hit the road to 76 Circle K, fuel up, and get Wendy's free before it's gone.
You or someone you know looking for a job? Well, Sentinel Security is hiring and they're offering starting pay between $10 to $15 an hour. And they'll train you too. Email them today that you're interested at sentinelsolutionsguam@gmail.com. Sentinel Security, Guam's most reliable security solution for your home and your business. Kickstart your day with one of Wendy's Guam's breakfast faves, the morning melt panini, the breakfast burrito, or the sausage, egg, and cheese English muffin, or really anything on their wonderful and delicious breakfast menu. Your mornings just got that much more delicious, so head to Wendy's for breakfast from 6 to 10:30 in the morning on weekdays and from 6 to 11 a.m. on weekends.
Kandit News is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good evening, my dear friends. It is 8:40 p.m. on Monday, August 18, 2025. Welcome back to the program. My name is Troy Torres, and thank you all so much for joining me on this live show. And if you're watching the replay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever it is that you're watching. Good evening, Brennan Fausto, Daniel Uggan, Jude Cruz, Mark Anthony, Elaine Camacho, and all of you who are watching live who haven't commented yet. Comment your hafa-day or your good evening or your hello, and I'll say hi right back. As long as I'm not enthralled in the conversation, I'm able to see the comments as they stroll through. As they scroll through, I'm not able to catch everything while live because I'm busy talking or formulating a thought or whatever. But afterward, I do read the comments as much as I can, and then I say my evening prayers, and then I go to sleep. So we haven't touched the Tenorio corruption case or the contracts investigation that we have been going through since Friday, and that was it was because Friday I was just too tired to go live. I just published a story about Pat Alvarez and the meth case that he had, and there's a direct connection to the Teresa Tenorio corruption case. Saturday is my day off. I promised that I would just take the day off and not do any work whatsoever. And then Sunday, I was supposed to go back to the subject and do the live show on Sunday, but then that whole distraction from the legislature came up. Was that Sunday? Was that Saturday? Anyway, yeah, that whole distraction from the legislature came up, and that's where we spent our time addressing yesterday instead of this Tenorio corruption case. And I was pretty upset about it too. I was pretty upset that we had to take time away from what our focus is, and it's this Tenorio corruption case, and it is these contracts that Teresa Tenorio and businesses directly connected to the lieutenant governor's immediate family have been transacting with the government of Guam since the lieutenant governor took office. And so we left off with this breaking news, this extraordinary link between the Tenorio corruption case, which is federal criminal case 25 CR 25-00011 in the District Court of Guam, and its connection to a federal case in 2021 that already has been adjudicated. It's just that Pat Alvarez has not been sentenced yet. Now, what happened in 2021 was a DEA together with ATF. It was a task force, DEA and ATF investigation, an investigation that went back as far as 2019 into the drug trafficking activities alleged of Patrick Alvarez of Jigo. Now, this is Patrick Alvarez, not the brother of the mayor of Santa Rita. That's a different Patrick Alvarez. He's the one who works at the Port Authority. This is Patrick Alvarez. He's from Jigo. He's related to Bobby Alvarez from the governor's office. He's either the brother or the nephew. They look very much alike. Anyway, so they're close. They're part of an immediate family. That's the Alvarez. That's the Patrick Alvarez. And so, according to documents that were only unsealed this year, okay, this is how it was sealed. Ever since this happened in 2021, it's been sealed up. And whenever the feds seal something up for that long, or even a shorter amount of time, actually, it's an indication that the criminal defendant, has pleaded out and has been cooperating with the federal government against other criminal actors, either in that case or in another case. And in this particular instance, it was in another case. And normally, federal drug defendants or convicted drug dealers, they cooperate against other drug dealers. And I don't know if Patrick Alvarez cooperated against other drug dealers. It doesn't say anything like that in the paperwork that was unsealed. But we do know from the paperwork that was unsealed that Patrick Alvarez did something extraordinary, something that is, you rarely see this happening. He cooperated against corruption criminal defendants, i.e. those in the Tenorio corruption case. So what had happened was the FBI and the ATF, according to the recently unsealed documents, they began to take a look at Patrick Alvarez in 2019. And it was because an informant told the DEA that Pat Alvarez had sold an ounce of meth to him out of the Jigo Payless parking lot, the back parking lot. And so an investigation ensued, and then, fast forward to 2021, and the feds, they're ready. They go after him. So they do this surveillance. They do these. They get these confidential sources and confidential informants from both the DEA and the ATF to purchase ice from Patrick Alvarez. It comes to a total, and back then ice was very expensive. It wasn't like what it is now. It was still like, $7,000 an ounce, according to the documents. And in this case, so it was a lot of money. A lot of money was transacted for a relatively smaller amount of ice than you would have these days. And the feds bust him. So I think it's March 24 of 2021, after all of those setups on Patrick Alvarez, the feds get a warrant, and they go in a task force to raid Mr. Alvarez's house in Jigo. It's behind the church. And during that raid, they found large quantities of marijuana along with 6 firearms, more than 4,000 rounds of ammunition, 240 some thousand dollars in cash, of which $210,000 was found in a plastic case that was buried along the fence line with the neighbor. And so, along with the information, along with the evidence that they had gathered from the stings and from the setups that had happened prior to that, they bring Patrick Alvarez in. This is March 24. This is 6 a.m., March 24, 2021. Oh, hi Irene. Hi, Lana. Hi, Steve and Liz Amagwin. Hi, Auntie Bennett. Hi, Kat. And so I'm glad I was able to say hi to you guys. And so March 24, they bring him to the Serena Plaza. Okay. And, the feds, they're doing their thing at his house or whatever. He is not actually charged in federal court until June of that year. I want to say June 6th, but I'm not sure. It's in my story. If you want to know the exact date, you can read the story. But I do know for sure that the raid happened on March 24, and it's an important date to remember. So on March 26, based on everything that the feds have at this point, 2 days later on March 26, the feds get a search warrant because based on everything, right, they're seeing all of this movement. What they're looking for is the money and everyone connected to the money, because the money that has been moved through bank accounts and in other areas the feds believe are from proceeds of drug sales, because Mr. Alvarez at that time, according to the feds, did not have a significant source of income. At least not enough to be able to have saved $240,000 in cash laying around in his yard. They found a receipt that, I'm sorry, I forgot. During the raid, they found a receipt that showed that he had made a deposit, he had a balance in his account 1 or 2 days prior to the raid. There was a balance of $68,000, I want to say $638 or something like that. It was a lot of money, $63,000 or $68,000 in a savings account at Coast 360. So 2 days after the raid, the DEA goes to the federal judge, asks, can we get a search warrant to search this bank account, or to search Pat Alvarez's bank accounts with Coast 360. So they get the warrant. They go to the bank. The bank ends up furnishing all of the documents on April something of that year. And they find, they furnish all the documents April something of that year. But on March 26th, according to that search warrant, they had the ability to seize the contents of the savings account, that's $60-some thousand. There was only $500-some left in that bank account. When the feds looked at the documents that were disclosed by the bank in April of that year, what they found was 2 days prior to March 26, on March 24, the same day as the raid, as in logical deduction says the raid happened at 6 a.m. They took him to the Serena Plaza. He was released at some point that day. After he was released from the Serena Plaza, he went to Coast 360 and he withdrew all but $500-some from that account. Now, it was either on that same day. Hold on. I don't want to get this wrong. Let me consult with my story, okay? I don't want to get this wrong. All posts. Because this is important information. Okay, here's the story. Oh, that one has a lot of views. Stand by. Okay. Thank you. So, on the same exact day that this raid happened, the same exact day that he withdrew the money from the bank and left only $500-some, Pat Alvarez, according to these documents, got a cashier's check from Coast 360 for $38,000 and made the cashier's check out to Charissa Tenorio. The trail of documents, the bank records show that the very next day, so that's a withdrawal of $38,000. Okay, the part of the withdrawal was a $38,000 cashier's check. Okay, so the very next day, on March 25, Patrick Alvarez goes back to Coast 360 with the same check. He cashes the check. Okay. It doesn't say that Charissa Tenorio, these federal documents don't say that Charissa Tenorio was with Patrick Alvarez at Coast 360. It just says that he managed to cash this cashier's check made out to Charissa Tenorio the following day, March 25, for $38,000. It doesn't say what happened to the cash, but the cash never made it back into the bank account, into the savings account. The feds allege that this was an activity of money laundering, that this whole thing, the money in the bank, taking the money out, etc., and that this laundering of money, what they were trying to launder was the proceeds of drug sales. And the feds make a direct connection to the lieutenant governor of Guam's sister in the year 2021, which was not only just 2 years after Charissa Tenorio's brother comes to power, but is also in the middle of the pandemic. And is also in the middle, or around the time, this era is when allegedly, and we see, according to Government of Guam records, there is a Patrick S. Alvarez who had been employed in the Government of Guam in 3 separate agencies, who is separate from the Patrick Alvarez who works at the port, who had been working at the port, is from Santa Rita, and is not this certain Patrick Alvarez. And so, okay, to be clear, the federal document doesn't say anything about whether Charissa Tenorio ever touched the check or ever received money from the check. But I will tell you this about federal court records, about motions and applications for warrants and, just anything that is written by the federal government. Every single word counts. Every single word means something. There is significance behind placing a person's name in a federal court document. You just don't put a person's name in a federal court document for nothing. And so this is in the application for the search warrant to search Patrick Alvarez's safety deposit box over at Coast 360. All of these facts that the federal government, that the DEA and the ATF put into this application. You fast forward in the case, on the same day in June, he is charged and pleads out, and a plea agreement is signed and everything, which means that the plea agreement was ready, which is an indication that Mr. Alvarez had been cooperating already prior to the day of the charging. And so the only documents you're ever able to see in this case at a certain point is that every 3 months, is that Patrick Alvarez was charged, and this wasn't until this year, but then before last week, the only documents we were able to see were continuances. And a continuance is a motion that is filed by either the defense or the prosecution or together I'm sorry, not together, but one says that the other doesn't mind or whatever, where it says, because of this, or this, we request that the trial date be pushed back another 3 months. Several continuances happened in this trial from June of 2021 all the way through this year. This trial, all the way to now. All the way through this year. There was a continuance of status hearing in this case. Even to now, the most recent filing in this case is that Patrick Alvarez's sentencing is going to be delayed for another 3 months because he is anticipated to be a witness in a federal court trial. It doesn't say which federal court trial, but I'll tell you this, in the documents in the Alvarez case, the only other case that he's involved in is the Tenorio corruption case. And because in in 2 of the continuance documents, there is a direct, the U.S. attorney makes a direct reference to an FBI investigation regarding corruption. And in one of those documents, they named 2 search warrants that Patrick Alvarez's cooperation with the FBI through the Patrick Alvarez meth case led to the warrants against Charissa Tenorio and her properties. Warrants numbers MJ 24-00095 and MJ 24-00096 executed on August 19 last year. Those were the raids into Churrissa Tenorio that led to a third search warrant, which was warrant number 25-00011, which was executed in February. And those three things, those three warrants, led to the June 25, 2025 criminal indictment of Churrissa Tenorio and others. A direct connection between a meth case and a corruption case, and possibly this same meth dealer also being directly involved and employed in the administration in the government of Guam under the Josh Tenorio administration. This is wild stuff. And the fact that the lieutenant governor of Guam is not answering questions about this stuff, I mean, I don't know. Now, I don't know if KOAM has done any stories about this. I know that the other media already has been alerted to this information. And I have the greatest amount of faith that KOAM would be the news organization that would pick up on a story like this. I don't know if the Post will. Really don't know if the PDN will. Hopefully the PDN will. Yes, Gremlin, come here. Come here, sweetheart. You want to see my little puppy? Hold on. Come here. Stop barking. So you can imagine how busy we've been regarding this whole thing. And we're going to continue to monitor the Alvarez case and the Tenorio case. Now there's two cases to take a look at, right? And there's more. So since August 8, we FOIA'd a whole bunch of agencies, and we chose these agencies based on source information about, hey, Churrissa Tenorio has this contract here, she has a contract there, etc. Right? So, the island's been in a sort of an uproar until the stupid budget thing at the legislature took the attention away. I'm so upset with the senators for not being able to just get it together, just behave, do your professional thing, cut taxes, don't cut taxes. Hurry up, senators. I don't care. Stop taking attention away from the important stuff. And so on August 8, we sent a FOIA to a whole bunch of different agencies where it was believed that Churrissa Tenorio, basically businesses owned and operated by the Tenorio immediate family, had contracts with the government of Guam since Josh Tenorio became the lieutenant governor. And interestingly, and we're going to verify this with, we're going to reconcile this information with records that we retrieved from the Department of Revenue and Taxation, but I'm pretty sure that most, if not all, of the businesses associated with the Tenorio family were started shortly after Josh Tenorio became the lieutenant governor. And what we're finding in the disclosures and there's 13 agencies we FOIA'd already. One of them we had to re-FOIA because it was our fault. It was to GPA. I got the address wrong. Out of the 12 that responded, 5 of them, 5 of them already responded with the records showing their transactions with Comfort Cuts and with basically to the Churrissa Tenorio businesses and Frankie Rosalind businesses. 1, 2, 3. 3 of these agencies, so out of 12, 3 agencies did not have transactions with the Tenorio family. 9 of the 12, or 3/4 of these businesses that we've already FOIA'd, have, during the time of the Leongro Tenorio administration, given contracts, meaning your money, public funds, to businesses owned by the Tenorio family. And 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 agencies, including General Services Agency, the largest agency of GovGuam, the Guam Department of Education, Department of Public Works, the Guam Airport Authority. Those 4 agencies asked for extensions. Now, under the law, the Freedom of Information Act, an agency is supposed to reply to whoever is requesting copies of documents within 4 days. And the reply has to be one of two things, or one of three things. Either we don't have the documents, or we have the documents and here they are, and they attach it. Or we have documents, but they comprise of 10 or more distinct records, or 500 or more pages of the same record or of different records. And so therefore we request for an extension, and on this day, which is I believe 10 calendar days after the FOIA was received by the agency, that's when the agency must disclose. So on August 20th, we are due to receive the disclosure by Department of Public Works, and the three other agencies, GSA, GDOE, and Airport, are going to give us their disclosures on August 22nd. What we're already seeing is a cursory review of just the 5 agencies that have already submitted is that your funds, your money, since the start of this administration, hundreds of thousands of dollars of your money, public funds, have been given by contract, purchase order, or even direct payment using even ARPA funds, emergency funds during the pandemic, that went to the financial benefit of businesses directly connected to Lieutenant Governor Joshua Tenorio. It is just simply flabbergasting. It appears to be a disgusting abandonment of ethics, a disgusting display of cronyism at the highest levels of this government. And for those of you who over the past few years have always said there's corruption in this administration, we see it, there's corruption. I mean, it looks like you were right. It really does. And this isn't it. We also have a previous disclosure from the Department of Chamorro Affairs. More money. Several different procurements that the Lieutenant Governor's family is involved in at Department of Chamorro Affairs. And there are other agencies that we haven't even FOIA'd yet that we're going to FOIA. And gosh, my friends, I wonder how the administration and the Democrats can, with a straight face, say that the government of Guam needs to continue to tax at such a high level so that it can spend at such a high level when it cannot account for these funds, except that the accounting goes into the family of Lieutenant Governor Joshua Tenorio. Don't tell me that you have to take more of our money just so the cronies can get their contracts. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Our investigation will continue. We'll bring you more news tomorrow. Good night. I love you all, and God bless you.
We got that dynamite. We got that dynamite.
Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport, starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.
Buy fuel, get Wendy's. Drive to your nearest 76 Circle K and get free Wendy's. Yes, free. Fuel up with $30 and score your choice of a 6-piece crispy chicken nuggets or a juicy junior cheeseburger deluxe. Fresh, hot, and packed with flavor. But hurry, quantities are limited and this delicious deal won't last long. So hit the road to 76 Circle K, fuel up, and get Wendy's free before it's gone.